Today we're sitting down with Randy Ice, the founder of SPIZ. Hello, Randy.
Hello, Alan.
Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today.
My pleasure.
Let's start with, what is SPIZ?
SPIZ is a complete food in powder form that you mix with water. It has everything in it you need to survive in bad times, for example. Let's say there was a tornado came through and all your food was wiped out. All you need is a water supply. You mix the water with it and you can survive on it indefinitely. It was actually developed for high-end endurance athletes initially, and then it's kind of spread to other markets. Besides that, I still have lots of endurance athletes that use it, however.
Take us back at the beginning.
Okay.
When did you came up with the idea, and how?
So in 1982, there was the first annual race across America, which is a bike race that started in Santa Monica, and I think it went to Washington, D.C. that year, as I recall, or maybe New York City. It's nonstop. You ride as much as you want, you sleep as little as you can, you eat whatever you can, first person there wins. So 4 people entered that race, all 4 finished. That actually was covered by Wide World of Sports back then, and for the next several years. The next year, 10 people did it, and one of the people that did it was a friend of mine who lived in Fallbrook. His name is Pete Sears, and he came in second in that race. So he was pretty sure he could win it. He wanted to enter it again a couple years later. So he came to me and said, I need help with my nutrition. So I said, well, what did you eat in the 84 race? So he pulled out a piece of paper from his pocket and unfolded it. In this race, you have a couple small vans that follow along and leapfrog ahead of you, and then you have one big motorhome that carries all your supplies, your food, massage therapists, etc., that also leapfrogs ahead. So what he would do, he would tell his wife when the motorhome came up, I want some grapes, or I want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or I want whatever struck his fancy. So it wasn't very scientific from a nutrition standpoint. That event is considered to be probably the world's toughest endurance race, even tougher than the Tour de France. So I looked at that and I said, well, you guys are like the Indy 500. You've got this well-tuned, well-trained human body. You're burning up probably 8,000 to 12,000 calories a day. You need to take at least that much in a form that's the same each time, with all the right ratio of carbohydrates, protein, fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, and be able to put it like Indy 500. You pull in a pit stop, you fill up, off you go. Every hour you're putting this nutrition in. So we started experimenting. A friend of mine was a compounding pharmacist at that time. He specialized in what are called TPN solutions. That's total parental nutrition. That's people that are in the hospital that can't eat. For example, let's say you've got stomach cancer. How are you going to eat? You can't. So you make a liquid formula up and you drip all the nutrients already broken down into the vein of the person to keep them alive.
Wow.
So he had all the ingredients on the shelf in his office, which was right next door to my physical therapy office. So I went to him, I said, I've got this guy and another gal who's a friend of his that we're going to do the race in 86. Can we work on a liquid food for them that would be the right ratio of all these ingredients? So we spent a whole year working on this. Pete lives in Fallbrook. Every Friday night he would ride his bike to San Onofre, back home, then ride all the way around the Salton Sea and back home on Saturday. It's like 400 miles. And that was his training program.
That's amazing.
So those little training runs gave us a chance to try out all these different combinations of nutrients on him. So we finally perfected it. He entered the race in 86, long story short. He won it in a time of 8 days, 9 hours, 27 minutes. That broke the record. That record stood for 27 years. So that's the history behind how it got formulated.
Wow, that's quite a beautiful story. So what makes SPIZ such a powerful fuel for the body?
Well, endurance athletes, everybody thinks of what they need as carbohydrates, which they do. But in an event this long, if you're not careful, you deplete your carbohydrate stores. They're called glycogen. They're stored in your liver, they're stored in your muscle. If you just went out there and, say, took Gatorade, you would deplete your carbs by 4, 5, 6 hours into that event, and then you're going to what they call bonk, where you run out of energy and you shift over to fat metabolism, which your body's not very efficient at using. It's not very energy efficient. So we put in about 15% amino acids, all broken down proteins, so the body could use those for energy also, and some fatty acids, which are also used for energy and also to carry all the vitamins and minerals in that your body needs continuously. If you're on the bike 20 hours a day, your metabolism is being stressed continually.
Right.
So you want to put all the nutrients in there to minimize that breakdown. They call it catabolism when your
Right.
muscles are breaking down. When Pete did the race in '84, it took him 4 weeks to recover from it.
Mm-hmm.
In '86, when he did it with my product, it only took him 2 weeks, because we protected his body from breaking down the muscles when he was doing that high intensity, long endurance event.
So you mentioned that this is also like a liquid meal,
Yeah.
right? So why did you design it as a liquid meal instead of a typical energy drink?
Because I knew with this kind of challenging event that you needed everything. You needed all the vitamins, all the minerals. You needed fatty acids to carry the fat soluble vitamins and minerals in. You have plenty of fat stores to use. Even these guys who are like 6, 8, 10% body fat, before the race even starts, they're lean as all get out. But they still have enough fat reserve that they can get to the finish line. In fact, I've measured their body fat. The very next year in '87, Pete Pensears and the guy who won the race in '84, a fellow named Lon Haldeman, did a tandem record. And I followed along behind him, and we did blood and did a lot of testing on them. We measured their body fat before and after. Their body fat was like 8 to 10% at the start. It was like 6 to 7% at the finish line. They depleted a little bit of fat, but they still had plenty left over. They need all the other vitamins and minerals and carbohydrates too. And the protein in particular is the key thing that they needed to protect their muscles.
Why do endurance athletes respond so well to SPIZ?
I would say because we spent a whole year developing this formula on these two people in the '86 race across America, that we fine-tuned it to where when he would do these 400-mile training rides, I would do testing on him before and afterwards. And I'd do some blood testing on him and some body fat testing. I'd see, okay, what's working, what's not. We kept fine-tuning it to the point where that's why he set the record in '86. He beat the second place guy by 27 hours,
Wow.
which is unbelievable in a race that lasts 8 to 10 days.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. So can you walk us through a little bit the ingredients that make SPIZ work?
Sure. So there's different kind of carbohydrates out there. Typical, everybody thinks of simple, like table sugar is sucrose. We put a fast-acting sugar in there, which is sucrose. We put an intermediate-acting sugar called dextrose, and then a slow, longer-acting sugar called maltodextrin. So if you feed all three of those into your gut at the same time, your body's going to pull sucrose in quickly. Later on, 10, 15 minutes later, it's going to pull the dextrose in, and another 10 minutes later, it'll pull the maltodextrin in. So it's designed to bring your glucose up, keep your blood glucose stable so it's not going up and down, which is what happens if you take just straight candy bar. It goes up, then it goes back down, and you crash. So that's the carbohydrate reasoning behind those three things. The amino acids originally were actually free-form amino acids. In SPIZ, I switched over to hydrolyzed whey protein. So whey protein is a complete protein. The two best protein from a standpoint of nutrition are egg protein and whey protein, because of all the amino acids and all essential amino acids. Hydrolyzed means it's broken down. So it's broken down to where it's like di and tripeptides. So again, when it goes into the gut, those are broken down quickly, the amino acids are absorbed, get into your bloodstream, get your muscles quickly, provide energy. I decided that if they're going to be eating this food, they're going to be on the bike for 20 hours a day, and they're going to use this as a food source. They need all the vitamins and minerals. Those are cofactors for all the enzymatic machinery that's generating energy. So I put all the vitamins, all the minerals, and worked out the ratios. I added extra vitamin C for antioxidant protection, because that race is highly oxidative, stressful, which is part of the breakdown process. So put extra vitamin C in there. And then a little bit of fat that's called short-chain amino acids. It's called free fatty acids just to help the body absorb the fats, which is the fat-soluble vitamins are A, E, D, and K.
what happens when somebody drinks SPIZ, like right away? What happens to the body? Does it take longer, or it happens immediately?
No, well, that's the part of this process was, if you're burning up 10 to 12,000 calories a day, you don't want food to go in your stomach and then take an hour to digest. You want it all kind of pre-broken down, pre-digested. So it's in, goes through your stomach quickly, hits your intestine, absorbed quickly. And this is the other secret ingredient in here. Every serving has a whole lot of sodium. Salt is not your enemy. Salt is a key nutrient that everybody needs.
The body needs it.
And athletes, sodium, I found out when I did the research on this product, trying to figure out how to put it together, I went to GI physiology textbooks and I discovered that sodium is what's called a carrier molecule. So when you put salt in with simple sugars and amino acids, it carries across the intestinal membrane into the bloodstream faster. Up to that point, all the exercise physiology scientists that I learned from back in the 70s said, oh, you can only absorb about 60, 70 grams of carbohydrates per hour. That's the maximum your gut will allow. The rest will just go through, which means you're limited to a certain number of calories. What I found out with this is I could put almost 100 grams of carbohydrate in and get it absorbed every hour on the hour with the sodium in there as the carrier molecule.
Is there a customer story that really convinced you that SPIZ works?
Yeah. Well, my longest customer is a fellow named Chet the Jet Blanton. He started doing, they have these crazy running events that are called 6-day running events. Nobody's really heard of them. They don't get any publicity. He's been doing that since he was a teenager. So he heard about SPIZ when he was like 35 years old. That was 32 years ago. And he started using it on these events, and he's got into triathlons, marathon runs. He went to Mexico to enter a double-decker triathlon. So a triathlon is 2.4 mile swim, 100-mile bike ride, marathon, 26-mile run. This is 20 times length on all of that. So he did that event. I shipped about, 10 cases of SPIZ down to him in Mexico. Did that event. That was probably the most, it took him, I think, about 14 or 15 days to do all that.
Wow.
And he survived on SPIZ. He also did an interesting experiment to show how you could live on this as survival food. About 3 years ago, he injured his ankle. He couldn't run. He's a junk food addict. He eats a lot of crappy food. So he gained about 20 pounds because he wasn't running. He wasn't exercising. So he decided for the month of November, which included Thanksgiving, he was just going to eat SPIZ every meal for the entire month. So we did some blood testing on before and after just to see what would happen. He did that. He lost 22 pounds. He was able to start running a little bit again towards the last couple of weeks when his ankle healed. So I can't say it was entirely SPIZ, but he lost weight on it. And his blood chemistry improved. It was actually better at the end of the month than before he started taking this product. So that convinced me you can live on this as a survival food indefinitely if you had to or wanted to. Now, the other question I get all the time is, well, what's the shelf life? I did a nice experiment on this myself. Okay, so legally, the company that makes this for me in Las Vegas, they don't require me to put a stamp on here that says expires such and such date. You can do that if you want, but then you have to spend a lot of money trying to prove what is the shelf life.
Right.
But you don't have to do it if you don't want to. So I didn't do it, but I kept 2 cases of this product that I manufactured in 2010. So last year, 15 years later, I opened one of them up and I mixed it up and I compared it to a brand new one that I had made that year, tasted them side by side, couldn't tell the difference. So the shelf life, I could say at a minimum, is 15 years. I still have 3 other canisters. So in another 10 years, I'll open one of those up and check it again and see if it's a 25-year shelf life. And I bet you it will be. There's nothing in there to go rancid. It has vitamin E in there. It has all the antioxidants to keep the nutrients that are in there in a non-oxidized form. There was a guy, one of these canoer guys from Texas. He canoed the entire length of the Amazon. That's like 3,000 miles.
That's amazing.
And I used a boatload of SPIZ. He didn't get any publicity out of it. It was really strange. Very little. But he did that. That was probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, this is one of my competitors in the Texas Water Safari. I'd used it successfully for many years in that event. And he got the idea that nobody had paddled down the entire length of the Amazon in a canoe or kayak. I forget which one he used. So he wanted to be the first.
Wow.
But that's a really long event. And it's not like there's convenience stores along the way. You're just going to stop at the 7-Eleven and pick up something to eat. So you have to be self-contained with something that's going to give you energy and it's going to work. Well, he knew it worked from his race, doing the Texas Water Safari races. And he did the whole length of the Amazon.
Well, you answered my next question. If you can live on SPIZ alone, obviously the answer is yes.
Yeah.
It can replace meal.
It could.
So that's what it says on your website, that this is a meal replacement.
Correct.
Besides being for athletes. So regular people can use that as
You could use it like, I don't have time for breakfast, and I'll just mix a SPIZ thing up and out the door I go. Same thing for lunch if you want to. So you use it as a meal replacement to skip a meal. You could use it as a dietary product if you're trying to lose weight, because you know exactly how many calories you're taking each time. So you could use it for that purpose. If you're on one of these GLP-1 drugs and you're trying to reduce your weight, you could take the GLP-1 drug and know exactly how many calories, 500, 800, 1,000, whatever you want to do every day to know exactly how you're going to lose that weight.
Okay. I noticed that you have two flavors. One is vanilla and the other one is chocolate. So how large are these? How long it's going to last? And,
Each canister is 5,000 calories. There's a
Okay.
scoop inside. Every scoop of powder you bring out is 125 calories.
Okay.
So the serving size, you have to put a serving size on there legally according to the FDA. So the serving size is 4 scoops, which is about 510 calories or so. That will give you 10 servings if you do 4 scoops per serving. You do 2 scoops per serving, you'll have 250 calories, you'll have 20 servings. So it will last depending on what concentration you mix up each time.
What does it sell for? How much is the price?
Each canister, the retail price is $35. Another thing I want to point out here, it says no trans fats, no aspartame, no sucralose, no sulfamine, no artificial sweeteners, no nothing that isn't a nutrient that your body needs.
Okay.
Nothing.
That's wonderful. And you have a SPIZ vanilla, SPIZ chocolate, and you also have a third one called whey protein?
I sell a whey protein also, but primarily I'm interested in this product here.
Okay. Who uses SPIZ in the most surprising way?
That's a trick question. Let me think. Well, one of the markets I've gotten into in the last, I'd say 8 or 9 years, they have these canoeing and kayaking races in the middle of the country, in Texas, Missouri, all the way up into Minnesota, where they have all the lakes and rivers up there. That's a whole niche of athletes that all of a sudden discovered this product. The words, and these races are long. Like the one is Texas Water Safari, 250 miles. The one in Missouri is 340 miles down a river. So it takes 3, 4, 5 days to do that. And so those athletes have jumped on this thing, and every year, right around May, June, when those events start taking place, a bunch of them will use this product for that particular thing. Now, how do they do this? They're paddling, right? Well, they mix it up and they put it in a camelback and just have the hose coming around.
That's interesting.
And they're sucking it down while they go. Of course, they stop periodically to go to the bathroom and pick up supplies, pick up more SPIZ. So that's been kind of fun to see all that happen.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I can imagine that.
Tough events.
Yeah. So if someone watching right now and is struggling with energy and nutrition, what would be your advice to them?
Oh, that's complicated. So energy is a complicated topic in terms of how do you maximize it. Part of it is your training program, what you're doing exercise-wise. You can't teach your system to generate more energy unless you do something to stimulate it, and the body adapts to training. Part of it is the nutrition, part of it is all the vitamins and minerals that you need. There are a lot of other tricks, like people use caffeine, for example, to generate more energy. That helps your body actually burn fat more easily. Some people use creatine. That's more of a product for sprinter, weight training type athletes. But that generates energy in your muscles. And then you can go into all kinds of other pharmaceutical ways of generating energy as well.
Where do you see SPIZ going in the future?
Well, I think it'll expand into other endurance markets. I think it'll expand into potentially the prepper market, which is people preparing for natural disasters, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, etc. Starvation, yeah. It would be a perfect product for any country in the world that has starving people for whatever reason, political reasons, like
Poverty.
like Saudi Arabia. They have no water. They have to desalinate. So anywhere in the world where there's nutritional deficiency of some kind, expanding into those markets would be great.
Randy, thank you very much for your time.
You're
It was
welcome.
great talking with you and learning more about SPIZ. And in the future, we will come back and talk more about it as we move forward.
All right, be glad to.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.